Joining us now is Ambassador Mark Regev, Senior Advisor to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and a former Israeli ambassador to the UK. Ambassador, it's good to have you back. What more can you tell us about this release? Do we know the condition of Judith and Natalie? Are they okay physically?
Well, since being released, of course, there'll be thorough medical checks, but it's too early for me to give you any information. It is, of course, just breaking at this moment. They've just arrived back in Israel after their ordeal in Gaza. And I'm sure this is great news for their families. It's great news for them. And I think all of us in Israel celebrate with them.
It is the first good news we've been able to report since the beginning of all of this. Is there an expectation that this is the beginning of maybe a bigger release of hostages, maybe more women and children coming over the border, if not Israeli civilians, but maybe some foreigners or dual passport holders?
Well, as your reporter said, Hamas still holds over 200 hostages who were abducted and taken back to Gaza on that bloody Saturday morning 2 weeks ago. Hamas hasn't suddenly become humanitarian. They've suddenly not ceased to be a dangerous and brutal and terrible terrorist organization that's capable of committing the most horrific acts of violence, the most vivid atrocities that we saw 2 weeks ago on Saturday. They haven't changed. Obviously, they've done this for all sorts of reasons, and I would say primarily they've done this because they're under immense pressure. Military pressure and the international pressure of public opinion. They've been condemned widely. The American president has been leading the global community in stressing the nature of Hamas. He's compared them to ISIS. Their hostage-taking has been condemned and rebuked across the planet. And they're under that pressure. And I think if we keep the military pressure up, the diplomatic pressure up, the public pressure up, maybe we'll get some more people out.
Was there a trade here? Did Israel release anybody from its prisons, make any assurances?
Not at all. This is Hamas succumbing to the will of the international community and the pressure from Israel, and we'll keep the pressure up. Hamas has to understand that it is meeting its end. Israel will continue to strike Hamas. We will dismantle its military machine. We will take apart its political structure. And there's going to be no change in that. And they must release all the hostages immediately and unconditionally.
What can you tell us about how this came to be? How Israel, was Israel in touch with Hamas? Was this through the Qataris? How did these two hostages get released?
There'll be a time to talk about that. It's not the right time yet. I can only tell you there was not a deal, and I can tell you that Hamas is under amazing pressure. Every day we're striking at its military machine. Every day we're killing its people. And Hamas understands that it has to play defense when there's all this pressure on it. And I think that's the reason for the release, and we're going to keep up the pressure.
There are more than 200 hostages your country, Israel, has confirmed. What do you know about the status of those hostages, the condition of those hostages?
So very little, unfortunately. We know that most of them are still alive. That we do know. And we released a statement to that effect earlier today. We also know that there are, as you reported, 20 of them are under 18, some of them infants, babies. And the fact that Hamas kidnapped children shows exactly who we're dealing with. We can have no illusions about Hamas. They are brutal. They are capable of horrific acts of violence. I mean, they beheaded people when they came into Israel and attacked us. They burnt bodies alive. They killed children in front of their parents and parents in front of their children. We have no illusions whatsoever about who we're dealing with here. And if they have released these two women, it's only because they're feeling they're in the corner, that they're facing the brunt of Israel's might, and they're facing the rebuke and the condemnation of the international community. And we have to keep up the pressure.
When you say most of them...
win this,
I'm sorry for interrupting. When you say most of them are alive, do you have an idea of who? Are the kids alive? Are the babies alive? Are those the ones
I don't have that specific. I'd like to be able to share that sort of information with you, but I don't have it, and I apologize. we have received from the military that we know for a fact that over half of them are alive. That means more than 100. I'd like to be able to share with you more information. I cannot at this stage. I'd like to be able to tell you they're all alive. Unfortunately, that I don't have that information. Hamas has to release them all immediately and unconditionally. And I know everyone in America is very happy that because they have apparently dual nationality, they're also American citizens. But everyone should be released, irrespective of what passport they hold.
I think everybody is hoping for everybody to get returned. No one likes the idea of any hostages whatsoever. When you are talking about the hope to get more of them out, you're saying repeatedly that this is up to Hamas to do it, that there's not going to be any sort of trade. Are there any discussions going on between intermediaries right now, between Israel and maybe the Qataris, to release more of them? Are those discussions ongoing? Is this the #1 priority for Israel?
The release of the hostages is, of course, one of our war aims. And that's been stated publicly. And was said tonight following their release, Israel will continue to make efforts to have the hostages released, and they must be released. But if you're asking me why Hamas did what it did now and has released these 2 women, it's only because of the strong pressure, the forceful pressure that they have been under. And we have to keep that pressure up. And that's Israeli military pressure, and that's the international pressure that's come from the United States and across the world, led by President Joe Biden, a strong condemnation of their behavior and the support they've given Israel for our counterattack. And I think when Hamas believes it's back up against the wall, and they're going to be on the receiving end of more and more pressure, then I think it's quite possible we're going to see more people come out.
Were they released to the Red Cross in Gaza?
Yes, that is my information.
And do we know what role the Red Cross is playing among the hostages now? Have they been able to see any other hostages?
I'm not aware of any such visits. We publicly called earlier this week for such visits. And of course, the Red Cross has not been able to visit the hostages. Hamas, in abducting these people, has acted illegally in violation of all norms of international behavior. And in not allowing the Red Cross to visit these people, it's doing so again. Once again, we're dealing with a brutal terrorist organization, an organization that is capable of the most brutal violence, ISIS-type violence. When the German chancellor was here earlier this week in Israel, the German chancellor, compared Hamas to the Nazis. Now, these people, we have to have no illusions. And we have to fight them and we have to defeat them. And that's the way, we believe. Keep the pressure up, and hopefully we'll get more of these hostages out.
Ground incursion. What can you tell us about that? Is that going to happen? Is it going to happen soon?
I can't go into timing. I can only tell you that Israel is prepared. Our soldiers are trained. They're ready for action. And we will go in when we believe it's the right time to go in. Hamas has to understand that it's no longer business as usual. You attacked us. You massacred our people in the most brutal and atrocious way. We are responding, and you will pay a price. And that pressure, I think, is crucial. And first of all, in getting the hostages out, and secondly, in ending the Hamas reign of terror against us and their political dominance over the Gaza Strip. And just as the international community, led by the United States, defeated the territories in Syria and Iraq where ISIS ruled, we will defeat and end the rule of Hamas in Gaza.
Finally, Ambassador, President Biden today said that he believes that aid will be getting into Gaza through Egypt within the next 24 to 48 hours. Is that also the timeline that the Israelis are expecting as well? Did you put any conditions on that aid?
So I believe that's true. I'm cautiously optimistic that we'll see as early as tomorrow trucks go into Gaza. We want to see the humanitarian aid, water, medicine, food reach the civilian population, especially in the south, where you've had all those people who've been relocated, who've left the north, where we expect there to be heavy fighting. We support civilian aid, but we don't want to see Hamas steal that aid. We don't want to see that aid diverted. to Hamas's military machine. And that's something that the president has also articulated. There are different needs of the different parties. There are, Egypt is involved, Israel is involved, the United States is involved, the United Nations is involved. But I think we're getting close to understandings that tomorrow will be the day it's going to happen. We're going to have, I hope, 20 trucks of aid go into the Gaza Strip. And if we succeed tomorrow, that's the prototype, or that's the beginning of much more in the future. But once again, the Israeli position, and if I can speak boldly and also represent the American position, it's all this aid must go to the people of Gaza. It cannot go to the Hamas military machine. And I say that because in the past, just in the past few days, when oil tankers went in with fuel, which was supposed to fuel the generators of Gaza's hospitals to make sure the hospitals have electricity, there is documented evidence that Hamas stole that fuel and diverted it to its military machine. Now, that's unacceptable. Donations of aid to the Gaza Strip, and many people are being very generous, including the United States, in support of the civilian population of Gaza. But donations of support, of aid, have to go to the people of Gaza. If they are stolen by the Hamas terrorist organization for its own purposes, that is unacceptable, and that can endanger the whole effort to bring aid to the people of Gaza.
Ambassador Mark Regev, thank you very much for joining us today.